每天练习英文5分钟，流利英文交谈不是梦。
Now, let's get started. Today, let's talk about the Australian Open final. In the men's final on February 1st, 2026, world number 1, Carlos Alcaraz defeated Novak Djokovic in 4 sets to win the match. While Alcaraz eventually triumphed to become the youngest man in history to complete the career Grand Slam, Djokovic played an exceptional game, showcasing his legendary resilience and elite level of play throughout the battle. Before we dive into the topic, a quick heads up. If you enjoy this, definitely like, subscribe, and share it around. Now, let's go!
Did you watch the Australian Open final last night?
Of course I did. Alcaraz against Djokovic, it was crazy.
I know, right? I was on the edge of my seat the whole time.
Same here. When Djokovic took the first set, I thought, okay, here we go again, he'll win another one.
Yeah, it felt like classic Djokovic at the start. Solid, calm, no panic, just doing everything right.
But then Alcaraz suddenly changed the rhythm. In the second set, he started playing more aggressive, but still very smart.
Those drop shots were beautiful. Djokovic stood so far behind the baseline, and Alcaraz just pulled him forward again and again.
And some of the rallies were so long. There was one rally where they both ran from side to side. Then Alcaraz hit that cross-court winner. I shouted at the screen.
I remember that one. Djokovic just smiled after the point like, what can I do? It was so funny and so respectful.
That's what I love about those two. They fight like crazy during the points, but they still smile, clap their racket, and show respect.
Exactly. When Alcaraz broke Djokovic's serve in the third set, the whole stadium exploded.
Yes, the crowd was loud, but in a good way. You could feel they were just happy to see such high-level tennis, not only cheering for one player.
When Alcaraz served for the match in the fourth set, my heart was beating so fast. I was afraid he would get nervous.
Me too. I thought, if he gets broken here, Djokovic will come back for sure.
But he stayed so calm. Big serve, strong forehand, and then that last winner. When the ball landed in, I almost jumped off my sofa.
I actually did jump. I shouted, "He did it!" My neighbors probably hated me.
I also loved the moment right after the match. Alcaraz fell on his back and covered his face. You could see how much it meant to him.
And Djokovic went straight to the net, smiled, and gave him a real hug. That handshake and hug said a lot.
I also watched their interviews after the match.
Yeah, I did too. Djokovic's press conference was interesting. He called the loss bitter and said it was hard to be positive just a few minutes after the match.
Right, he said it's difficult to smile because he's a competitor and he doesn't like to lose, but he still said it was an incredible achievement to reach the final again at his age.
I like that he also talked about belief. He said something like, "I always believe I can," and that if he didn't believe he could still win slams, he wouldn't be playing.
Yeah, and he mentioned how proud he was of beating Sinner in that tough 5-set semifinal and then fighting Alcaraz in 4 close sets.
He also didn't make excuses. He said he felt great in the first set, then lost some energy and rhythm later, but he didn't want to take anything away from Alcaraz.
True, and he even joked a bit in the end, saying that Alcaraz and Sinner will keep blocking his way at the majors. And he called Alcaraz already a legendary player and one of the best he has faced.
That was very classy. You could tell he was disappointed, but he still respected Alcaraz a lot.
What did you think about Alcaraz's interview?
I loved it. He looked so happy, but also very humble. He thanked his team, his family, and the crowd, and said Djokovic is still a big inspiration for him.
Yeah, and he talked about the dream of completing the career Grand Slam and becoming the youngest man to do it. You could see how special that moment was.
He also said it was unbelievable to beat Djokovic in an Australian Open final, especially after losing to him there before and losing to him in other big matches.
And he didn't pretend the match was easy. He said Novak started playing amazing in the first set and that he had to change his tactics and stay brave to come back.
What I liked most was the respect from both sides. Djokovic praising Alcaraz, and Alcaraz saying he grew up watching Djokovic and learning from him.
Yes, it felt like a conversation between two champions, not between a winner and a loser.
Exactly. The match was high level, but the interviews showed high character too.
For me, this final had everything. Crazy rallies, big emotions, and then really honest interviews after.
Same. I enjoyed the tennis, but I also enjoyed listening to how they talked about each other and about the match.
It made me respect both of them even more.
Me too. I'm already excited to see the next match.
Same here. Until then, I think I'll watch those highlights and maybe those interviews a few more times.
Good plan. What a night for tennis. Useful phrases to memorize. 1. On the edge of my seat. Meaning, very excited or nervous while watching something because you don't know what will happen. Usage. Often used for sports, movies, or shows with a lot of tension. Example. I know, right? I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. 2. Here we go again. Meaning, said when something is happening again, often something you expected, sometimes with a little tired or amused feeling. Usage. Very common in everyday speech, can be positive or negative. Example. When Djokovic took the first set, I thought, okay, here we go again. He'll win another one. 3. Classic someone. Meaning, very typical behavior of someone, exactly what you expect from them. Usage. Used with names. Classic Djokovic, classic my dad, etc. Example. Yeah, it felt like classic Djokovic at the start. Solid, calm, no panic, just doing everything right. 4. That's what I love about. Meaning, used to introduce a specific quality that you really like. Usage. Very common when explaining your opinion about a person or thing. Example. That's what I love about those two. They fight like crazy during the points, but they still smile, clap their racket, and show respect. 5. In a good way. Meaning, used to show that something is positive, not negative, even if it might sound extreme. Usage. Often added after strong adjectives like crazy, loud, obsessed. Example. Yes, the crowd was loud, but in a good way. 6. That said a lot about. Meaning, an action that shows you a lot about a person's character or feelings. Usage. Often used after describing behavior that shows true personality. Example. And Djokovic went straight to the net, smiled, and gave him a real hug. That handshake and hug said a lot. Useful vocabulary to memorize. 1. Rhythm. Meaning, he changed the speed and style of the game, so it felt different. Usage. Often used in sports or conversations to describe changing tempo or flow. Example. But then Alcaraz suddenly changed the rhythm. 2. Rallies. Meaning, long exchanges of shots between players before one wins the point. Usage. Specific to tennis and similar sports. Example. And some of the rallies were so long. 3. Cross-court winner. meaning a powerful or well-placed shot that goes diagonally across the court and wins the point. Usage, specific to tennis, used by commentators and fans. Example, then Alcaraz hit that cross-court winner. 4. Served for the match. Meaning, to be the player serving when you can win the match if you win that game. Usage, specific to tennis. Example, when Alcaraz served for the match in the 4th set, my heart was beating so fast. 5. Press conference. Meaning, a formal meeting where players or officials answer questions from journalists. Usage, common in sports and politics. Example, yeah, I did too. Djokovic's press conference was interesting. 6. Bitter. Meaning, very painful or hard to accept emotionally. Usage, often used about defeats or disappointments. A bitter defeat, a bitter end. Example, he called the loss bitter and said it was hard to be positive just a few minutes after the match. 7. Inspiration. Meaning, someone who strongly motivates you or makes you want to do better. Usage, common when talking about role models. Example, he thanked his team, his family, and the crowd and said Djokovic is still a big inspiration for him. 8. Career Grand Slam. Meaning, to win all 4 major tennis tournaments, Australian Open, French Open, Wimbledon, US Open, at least once in a career. Usage, specific to tennis, but very useful for sports-related English. Example, he talked about the dream of completing the career Grand Slam and becoming the youngest man to do it. 9. Grew up watching. Meaning, from a young age, he regularly watched Djokovic and was influenced by him. Usage, very common structure to show long-term influence. Example, Alcaraz saying he grew up watching Djokovic and learning from him. Great work! You crushed it! Let's keep that momentum going by focusing on mastering just a couple of phrases a day. It's those small wins that build true fluency over time. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you so much. See you next time.